What's up everybody? It's been a minute. A lot going on. New house. Well, moved into a new rental. Much nicer, maybe. But S15's here. Been working on it for the past couple days. Been doing a few things. Installing some of the parts that I bought over the past few months. Doing some fab work. And just basically just making a move forward to get all the suspension done. The goal is that tick everything off in one area. So I've been doing the rear suspension, front suspension, which means rear arms, front arms. Gonna have to get some bushes for the back. I haven't got those yet. For the back, we've got GK Tech drop knuckles and adjustable arms. The adjustable arms are not GK Tech, they're just a cheaper brand, because if I bend them, then that's fine. In the front, we're running Wisefab, as you know. Yeah, it took quite a bit of time to put the Wisefab in, a lot more time than I thought it would. It was definitely a little bit trickier, even though they kind of made it foolproof. Obviously not foolproof enough for me, I'm an idiot. We'll just go through and show you what's been happening. So here's the S15 subframe with the Wisefab rack relocation through it. A few things to note when doing this: your factory high pressure power steering lines won't fit in that little gap there, so you're going to have to make some custom lines for that. There's the Wisefab spacer so that it hooks up to the steering shaft all good. I also had to trim this part in here a bit more to get the rack to seat properly. It was so close in there and it was just rubbing on that, so I trimmed it about 4 mil to get it to seat. The other thing that caught me off guard when doing it is that you can see here the welds. The rack relocation actually sits on top of the subframe and you weld it to that. I thought it had butted up against it and you kind of did a butt weld across, but it sits on top of it, as you can see right there. Same for the bottom, it kind of sandwiches up under the plate. I'll show you the bent rack that I've got right here. This is the bent one, and basically these two holes didn't line up when I plugged it in. I also cut too much material off the bottom, so that's alright. I started with the new one. Like this is yeah, it was pretty severely bent. I don't know if you can see it from there. Yeah, so the Wisefab relocation sits on top of this and on top of that, so it sits like that, whereas I thought it would just butt up against it and stay quite low, but that's pretty cool. There were some pretty big gaps between the Wisefab and these parts here, so I had to go through and fill those up. They didn't look pretty, but it's gonna hopefully stick. Yeah, so it's all bolted in. Oh, go to the gym. I'm too weak. Yeah, not bad. The other thing I think that I've done wrong, or maybe wrong, or adjusted too far, is the caster. I've adjusted it for as much caster as this arm will allow, but in doing that, the rack is over centering at full lock, and we're only running the minimum amount of lock setting. I don't know if that's the right term, but basically the least amount of lock you can run with the Wisefab. So the main reason why we're not going JZ anymore is that they're just getting too old and a little bit too expensive to keep in a car that you're gonna break a lot. Like one JZ non-VVTi long block is about $2,000 here in New Zealand. It just didn't make sense to spend that on a motor from the 90s with 90s tech doing not that much power, but still I didn't really feel comfortable having to fork out $2,000 every time the motor let go, and just finding one would be a huge mission. Finding a non-VVTi 1JZ turbo engine is not very common here in New Zealand. It's, if you know some people, I guess it's easier if you're already in that sort of crowd. But remember, I'm moving over from a BMW platform. I literally know nothing really about these or the 1JZ other than what I've read on the internet. These and JZs seem to be a killer combo, but unfortunately it's just not in my budget for the engine. With this build here, I focus more on suspension, getting the suspension dialed in, make sure I have correct arm positions and lower control arms, and upper arms, camber arms, all that sort of stuff, which is why I went with the GK rear. We'll go through the GK rear another day when I'm not doing work on the front. Spending all that money on the suspension kind of left not as much for engine stuff. If I want to reach a goal of getting this finished by the end of the year, hopefully, fingers crossed, I can still do that. But the engine we're going with now, and I have parts already on the way. I kind of pulled the trigger during lockdown and was like, meh, I'm bored, let's buy some car parts. We're going with a K24 IV-Tech motor, which has the 3-lobe cam. It's about as much as I know. We're still rocking the 6-speed ZF out of a diesel, so we're still rocking that, and we've got an adapter plate coming from PMC, which is quite affordable, but they don't make a flywheel for my gearbox yet, so I'm gonna have to get that custom, probably from someone local, and get the clutch through that person as well. So the goal hasn't changed in terms of power, but we will free up some weight, which is cool, and the motor will sit way far back in that thing. I really look forward to moving forward on this project now. Just the past few days of getting things done, doing some welding, bolting some parts up, some feel good parts. I got the Origin lever 75mm fronts, so hopefully the 75mm on the back as well. Need to get some wheels, and the list just keeps going. A little bit of a show and tell at the moment. Yeah, tomorrow I think I'll get back into doing some welding. I really want to do some stuff at the front while I've got it in the air. Yeah, sick. See you at the next one.